Hello, BookTube. I've got a little bit of mail for you today on an increasingly overcast Friday. The radar shows a tiny little rainstorm moving this way, but I suspect that, like everybody else, it will get lost on the roundabouts and rotaries of western Massachusetts and never make it to Boston. Uh, but it is starting to get a little bit icky, a little bit overcast. The Bean and I got in a couple of wonderful walks when it was bright and sunny outside, bright blue sky. But that's over with for today. The walks were as wonderful as they could be, considering that there was an element of tension involved that usually isn't there. Just the other day, the stitching on Frida's little harness just gave out. It just popped off. One crucial latch just popped off, and suddenly she was romping around free. Uh, and there was no way to fix it. There was no way to cobble together a fix of it. So I had to resort to, the big canvas bag full of dog supplies that you accumulate if you have dogs, as long as I have. And that yielded two possibilities. But the problem is, Frida is much smaller than any dog I've ever had. She's a good, probably 4 or 5 inches shorter at the shoulder than even my smallest beagle. So eventually those alternatives boiled down to just two things. One was an old harness that is really adjustable and that kind of sort of work, but it's a little bulky. And the other option that would work just fine is a dog collar, an actual collar around the neck. Fits her like a glove. Don't know why I got it. It's way too small for any dog I've ever had, so I don't know why I have it, but there it was, in perfect condition, perfectly new. I tried the harness a couple of times. We've tried that a couple of times outside, and it's a little bit floppy. It kind of bugs her. So then I made the mistake for one of our walks today of trying, a dog collar. And that did not go over well at all. Not at all. And I swear it wasn't just that she wasn't used to all the the pressure coming from one place instead of from around her torso. I swear that part of it was just personal insult. She just thought, what are you putting a dog collar on me for? I've had to remind myself, I've been reminded since that horrible moment when her harness just broke, I've been reminded of the fact that for 99% of our walks, there's no need. There's no harness at all. There's no pressure of any kind. We're just walking together. And if I turn at a certain place, she turns with me. If she wants to stop, I stop. And we stop as long as she wants to be there. And now that it's not freezing cold, we stop as long as she wants to be there. So it really isn't, it's not as urgent as it would have been with some dogs that I've had. I have had some beagles where you don't take them for a walk. You enter a launch sequence and they take off. And there's rock solid tension on the leash the whole time. Frida's not like that at all. She has a pretty visible on her face scorn for dogs who are like that. So it's not a pressing concern, but I'm thinking that the bigger gerrymandered harness and also the dog collar are both just compromises. I think I probably just need to get her a harness, an actual harness, and just hope that it's well made. But by and large, wonderful. We'll see if this rain actually shows up. But in the meantime, mail has shown up, so we can go through that and see what we have here, including the New Yorker with a classic cover. This is by Anna Juan, and it's called Clickbait. It's mice going nuts because a cat is totally absorbed in a phone of mice and is therefore ignoring the real thing. I really enjoyed the cover, even though it's showing a disturbing trend in the last week of cat material being shoved into Steve's face, including a heretical email from a viewer of this channel. Said, I'm not saying that I'm in this position. I'm not proposing it. I'm just wondering if some one of your imaginary BookTube friends reached out to you and said, I am nearby. I am a car drive away. And I have come into possession of a kitten and I cannot have a kitten. Whether it's because I've got big predatory older cats or little children or I'm not zoned for pets or whatever. And I don't want to drop a kitten off at the local shelter, which has 30 of them. This person emailed and said, if someone emailed you in that situation, I have a kitten that I can't take care of. Will you take this kitten? What would you say? You're legendary. The person wrote, you're legendary for your dislike of cats, but would you actually say no? And that was one thing, one cat thing among many other cat things, including Cedarburg Public Library's Books of the Week, one half of which was devoted to cats. But nevertheless, some cat content I like more than others, and that is classic. And then we have a bunch of packages. So no boxes this time around. I'm waiting for one particular box-worthy item, but it hasn't arrived yet. I can't help but notice on this one here, it says fragile. And of course, books are going to get manhandled by me anyway, but they're also going to get manhandled in the metaphorical sense, and I'm not going to care how fragile they are. So let's put the invoice away here and see what we have here. Oh, fantastic. All right, this is, all I got is the invoice. I didn't get an actual sheet for this. This is the paperback release of the Boston Raphael by Belinda Rathbone. And Rathbone, in connection with Boston art scene, is a name we've seen already on this channel. We've seen it in context with what I imagine is this author's father. There he is, right there, looking as dapper as anyone ever could. The subtitle here is A Mysterious Painting, an Embattled Museum, and a Daughter's Search for the Truth. So I'm guessing that she is the daughter of the legendary Boston art impresario Perry Rathbone. But I don't have a sheet for this, so we'll just read it. This is going to be a $20 paperback. On the eve of its centennial celebrations in December 1969, the Boston Museum of Fine Arts announced the acquisition of an unknown and uncatalogued painting attributed to Raphael. Boston's coup made headlines around the world. Soon afterward, an Italian art sleuth began investigating the details of the painting's export from Italy, challenged the museum's right to ownership. Simultaneously, experts on both sides of the Atlantic lined up to debate the artwork's very authenticity. While these contests played themselves out on the international stage, the crisis deepened within the museum as its charismatic director, Perry Rathbone, faced the most challenging crossroads of his 30-year career. The facts about the forces that converged on the museum and how they led to Rathbone's resignation is only now fully revealed in this compelling behind-the-scenes story that reveals how the art world, media, and museums work. And this is not a paperback original, right? This came out last year. Oh, good Lord, yes. This came out in 2014. So this is a reprint from Godine. Great. Fantastic. I think I read this. I don't think I reviewed it, but I think I read this at the time, but I'm happy to have a new paperback of it. Great. Especially since I've got Perry Rathbone on the brain, reading his diary. All right, so let's move on to this next one here. I'm a little bit constrained in my movements here because of the aforementioned Bean, who is ratcheted right next to me. It just don't want to move at all. Let's see what this next one is. Okay, all right. We encountered this already on this channel, but now I have the finished copy. This is probably an April release. Yes? Yeah, April 30th, the end of the month. So I should write about this. I should definitely write about this. When I mentioned this before, I think in an upcoming books or Friday reads video of some kind, and a lot of you asked me, emailed or voxed me and said, you've mentioned this, but could you review it as well? And one of you actually paid me. I very rarely get compliments about my writing. I guess the backhanded kind of compliment, which is that other people take it seriously, especially other critics. But I almost never get complimented on the quality of the writing. I almost never do. And it's really touching when it happens. I never get those compliments. That doesn't mean I don't like them when I get them. And one of the people that wrote in about this book and said, would you please also, in addition to showing it to us and talking about it, would you also write a review? One person that wrote that said, you write about this particular subject better than anyone. That was I don't know that I believe it, but I thought that was really kind of neat. This is Alexander Larman. This is his book Power and Glory, about Queen Elizabeth II and the transformation of the monarchy, of the modern monarchy. Let's see here. On September 8th, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II died after 70 years, 7 months, and 2 days on the throne. As England's longest reigning monarch, she became the figurehead of a country emerging from the deprivations and destruction of World War II through the technological revolutions of the 20th century and into a new millennium. The author of this book, the master chronicler of the House of Windsor, concludes his acclaimed trilogy as he traces the rise of Queen Elizabeth from the balcony of Buckingham Palace on VE Day in 1945 to her coronation in 1953 and the beginning of a new age of British monarchy. There's a tiny error in that sentence. Anyone spot it? That's all right. It's just a pub sheet, and it's just a publicist. It's not the author of the book. So this book comes on sale on April 30th, and it's a story of three royals. The disgraced Duke of Windsor, continually scheming for influence, money, and a title for the wife he placed above the crown. George VI, an increasingly poor health as he attempted to balance a position he did not want with his duties to his country. And Princess Elizabeth, preparing for a lifetime in service to her country as well as a desire to be with the man she would eventually marry. Drawing from rare and previously unseen documents, no, not either, no. The author illuminates the unique family dynamics of the Windsor family and the court who surrounded them. From personal dramas to political upheavals, the author takes readers through the last 7 years of King George VII's reign and into the first year of Queen Elizabeth II and the dawn of the new Elizabethan era. Okay, all right. Well, this author wrote The Windsors at War, I think would be the book that's probably best known. And he is the books editor of the Spectator World. And this is a new House of Windsor book. I think they're only from major publishers. Who is this? St. Martin's. From major publishers in the U.S., I believe there are only 2 more House of Windsor books that are coming out this year. There'll be a slew of other publications, and I imagine more of them in the UK, but in the US, I think it's only 2 more, other than this one. So I now have the finished copy, and I also have All That Urging On that a lot of people did, so I will definitely write about this. And I've got, 10 days to do it. April has 10 days left. I want to do a book review every one of those 10 days, but I've been having a little bit of little picks and pulls at my writing time that have been going on for the last 10 days, basically. But I should still be able to do it. So then we've got some cardboard to look at. We will rip open a couple of cardboard packages here and hope that they behave themselves. What is this first one? Lots of paperwork here. I don't think I need lots of paperwork. What is this? Here are some bullet points for you. Okay, I can come up with my own bullet points. Thanks. I'm going to read the book. All right, so this comes out in mid-May. This is by Sulman Wasif Khan. I think we saw this already. This is The Struggle for Taiwan, A History of America, China, and the Island Caught Between. This comes out in mid-May. Any of you are interested in this subject, put it on hold at your library. Get your library to get a copy. This has a blurb by Admiral Stavridis, whose books I have reviewed. Let's see here. When Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi declared her intent to visit Taiwan in 2022, it sparked frenzied discussions across the United States, China, and Taiwan, a discourse that was characterized by amnesia and half-truths about the history of this pivotal island nation. Today, as relations between Washington and Beijing deteriorate and as tensions over Taiwan reach a boiling point, its survival as an independent democracy is precarious indeed. Any attempt to resolve the impasse and avert a devastating war demands that we understand how it all began. This book offers the first comprehensive history of the triangular relationship between the United States, China, and Taiwan over the past 8 decades. Great. Fantastic. And who is the author? Oh, he's young. Sulman Wasif Khan is the Dennison Chair in History and International Relations at the Fletcher School, Tufts University. And he has written a couple more of other books, and his writing has appeared in The Economist, Foreign Affairs, and Foreign Policy. Okay, great. Fantastic. All right, this is mid-month. The Boston Raphael is a reprint of a book that came out 10 years ago, so that goes on the list for tonight. And Power and Glory goes on the list for tonight. But I think for mid-May, I can probably wait. And then we'll do this last one, and then we'll be done here with the books, and I will clean up. What have we got here? This is from the folks at W.W. Norton, my favorite publisher. But this also has lots of stuff attached to it. Why? Oh, it's got an interview attached to it. Okay, all right. Well, I don't care about that. So, what is the as a publicist, you put this thing together. The only thing I'm going to look at, the very first thing I'm going to look for is the release date. Why am I? Okay, late May. All right, so this is another May release. Good. I've got 10 days more, maybe 9 days, until I have to swap out that shelf and move the April books and deal with the May books. This is the finished copy of American Diva. Let's see here. The author is described as a poet and performance scholar. I don't know what a performance scholar is, and I know this really sounds very intellectually curious to me, but I don't want to know. This book is an impassioned homage to the divas who shook up our world and transformed American culture with their bold, dazzling artistry. Deftly twining memoir and criticism, the author chronicles the impact of divas on her life on the last 50 years of American culture. Okay, so this is autobiography. This is not a study of divas at all. It's no work in the 21st century deftly twines memoir and criticism. No work in the 21st century deftly twines memoir and anything else. The minute you're told that memoir is a part of it, that's a dead giveaway. That's all it is. What does it mean to be a diva? The term has been used both to deride and to celebrate charismatic and unapologetically fierce performers like Aretha Franklin or the women of LaBelle. In this brilliant and powerful blend of incisive criticism and electric memoir, okay, ding ding, it's just memoir. Deborah Paredes, scholar, cultural critic, and lifelong diva devotee, unravels our enduring fascination with these icons. If it were a study of divas, that's what you would do. But if it's part memoir, then it's going to be about you and your Twitter account. This book journeys into Tina Turner's scintillating performances. No, I bet it doesn't. I bet it journeys into the two performances you've seen. Celia Cruz's command of the male-dominated salsa world and the unparalleled excellence of Venus and Serena Williams. Exploring her childhood immersion in Rita Moreno's powerhouse portrayal of West Side Story's Anita and her admiration of the fabulous Tia Lucia, Paredes chronicles these celebrated and skilled performers who boldly expressed Americans' aspiration for freedom among brown, black, and gay communities. Okay. The author is the chair of the writing program at Columbia University, which is pretty impressive. So this comes out in late May. I don't know that we have an advanced copy of this, but again, like one other book here, this is pretty much a 50-50 split. Two of these are mid or late May. So as close as that is, right around the corner, I can't justify it. And the other two are more or less immediate. So that's the mail. Not bad. Not bad at all. No fiction, right? No fiction at all. We have American Diva. We have The Struggle for Taiwan. Potentially a very interesting book. We have Power and Glory by a royal House of Windsor writer that I don't particularly like. He's always struck me as a little facile. We'll see if this book is different. And finally, a reprint of the Boston Raphael with a look inside Perry Rathbone's rule of the Boston art world, which is always interesting, just always fascinating. There's a book there to be made, not a 10-year-old reprint, but an actual new book. But that's great. I don't know. I'll have to check my records and see what my relationship was with the Boston Raphael when it first came out. But anyway, that's the mail. Not a bad mail haul, if I do say so myself. But I'll wrap this up for now and dig into the New Yorker. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.